Today, you're going to learn a ton of core exercises for golf that I use with my clients to help their golf game. Now, I should warn you, some of the core exercises for your golf game can be advanced. We will progress through these core exercises for golf from the beginner level all the way up to the more experienced gym goer. So no matter where you are starting from, these exercises, when performed regularly and properly, will get you results. I'm Rob Connors, the founder of Signum Golf. We have a lot to cover in this video, so let's dive right in. Years ago, I launched my search to find the best core exercises for golfers to help gain some distance off the tee, as well as strengthen my overall game. I was seeing PGA Tour players adding loads of distance and wanted to catch the rising tide. Trying to find what really works today is tricky. If you do a simple Google search of core exercises for golf, you will find a couple hits with lists of only a few exercises at best, but the movements I'm going to share with you in this series is much more, which is why my blog post ranks #1 on Google for core strengthening exercises for golf. Now, I can't go over all of them, it would take too long, and I want you to start taking action on strengthening your midlines today. So if you want to find our expansive posts on this subject, just check out the link in the description after you watch this video. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's start off with some beginner level abdominal core exercises. First, there is the basic ab mat sit-up. You will need an ab mat or a rolled up towel to fill the space between the floor and your lumbar curve. Start with your feet together or underneath a set of dumbbells. You want to brace your core and sit up until your shoulders are over your hips, and then slowly lower back down to the ground until your shoulder blades touch the ground. Next, there is the RKC plank, or plank for short. It's a static movement that helps develop some basic level core strength for your golf swing. For these, you will start on the floor in a flat position, isometrically holding your forearms in contact with the ground as well as your toes. Keep your core braced and body in a straight line. You want to avoid having your hips being too high or too low. Hold for a set amount of time before resting and then repeating. In the next movement, we are combining the dead bug as well as the reverse crunch. You'll need a stable structure or object to hold onto. Make sure that when you are extending your legs, you're also exhaling and keeping your anterior core nice and engaged. Extend one leg at a time and alternate legs. This is a core exercise for golf where you will lie on your side with one elbow in contact with the ground. If you want to make these a bit more challenging, you can add some weight overhead. The weighted side bend is great for working those oblique muscles which are used during the rotation of the golf swing. You'll need a dumbbell or kettlebell for these. Get into a hip to shoulder width stance, engage your core, and try to stay pretty strict on these. I personally love farmer carries as a core exercise for golf because it also strengthens the grip. It's pretty straightforward movement, and you will need either a pair of dumbbells, kettlebells. You can even do it if you have a pair of barbells. Keep your core engaged and eyes on the horizon, and simply pick up your two objects and carry them. With these, you can really vary the distances and weights. Next, let's review some more advanced abdominal core exercises for golfers. This is a weighted version of a regular setup, but has a couple variations. You will need to anchor your feet with another set of dumbbells. You can hold a single dumbbell or a pair of dumbbells on your chest or shoulders, but you want to brace your core and sit up until your shoulders are over your hips. Then slowly lower back down to the ground until your shoulder blades touch. Abs with a plate switch is a great exercise for golf because it will really test the stability and balance of your core while performing a dynamic movement. When to start in what we call a hollow body position, you will be holding a small plate, maybe even just a 2.5 pound plate to start. You want to move into flexion, raising your torso up and tucking your knees, and at the same time pass the plate underneath both of your knees to the other hand and return back to that hollow body position. V-ups are one of the more advanced core exercises for golfers on this list. You will start again in a hollow body position, lying on the floor face up. You want to extend your arms over your head and your legs will be straight with your feet together and knees locked out. Simultaneously bring your feet and hands together while maintaining locked out knees and arms. You want to feel as if you are being folded in half on this one. The glute ham developer sit-up, or GHD sit-up for short, it works the entire abdominal structure as well as the hip flexors. You want to set up with the pad just below your butt and knees slightly bent. Keep your legs bent as the torso descends down and back. Go down until your torso is parallel with the ground. If you feel comfortable, you can go all the way until you can actually touch the ground behind your head with both hands. Initiate the return by extending your legs. You want to keep your core brace and complete the movement by touching the pads that are in front of you. My advice is to ease into these. If you get too aggressive, you will really feel it the next morning. Up next, we have the barbell rollout. You need to set up a barbell so it can roll along the ground. Start on your knees and grab the barbell about shoulder width apart. Then start rolling forward and back while maintaining a nice braced core and arms locked out the entire time. In my opinion, the L-sit is the hardest of all core exercises for golfers on this list. You will need a set of parallettes, but you can also perform these in a dip station at your gym. You want to support yourself by actively pressing up through the arms and extend your legs out, attempting to keep your knees locked out. Hold for a set amount of time. Now, let's work on some rotational core exercises for golf. Let's start off with a pal-off press. This is an anti-rotational exercise because we are resisting the rotation that the band wants to put on us. You want to loop a band around a fixed object, either in the gym at about belly height, and you want to grab the band with the hand that is closest to the anchoring point. The other hand simply overlaps. Take a shoulder width stance with your feet. You want to brace your core and press out, holding for a 1 second count. Next, we have banded rotations. You want to anchor the band around a rig or other object in your house that is pretty stable, okay? Use a double overhand grip about shoulder width apart. You want to keep your core nice and engaged. Rotate your core with arms extended and then also repeat on each side. Next up is the banded alphabet. You need a light to medium band thickness and loop it around a support structure. The focus here is on resisting the rotation the band's going to put on you. You want to grasp the band in the hand that is closest to the anchoring point and then cusp it with your other hand. Simply extend and lock out your elbows, forming a nice triangle of your arms and chest. Then simply spell the alphabet with your hands, focusing on rotating with the chest and core rather than the arms. Make sure that for this one, you spell the alphabet with both sides. Okay, next up, we have some landmine rotations. For this, you want to take your barbell and wedge it into a nice stable corner. You want to keep the barbell in front of you and rotate from side to side to really work that anterior core. Abs stay nice and tight while the feet are allowed to pivot side to side. Landmine rotations are really challenging you to move dynamically through the movement, similar to what you have to do on the golf course. The Russian twist. You may have seen this one before or even done it. This one will begin in a seated position with the chest and legs elevated and your body somewhat resembling a V. You want to hold the dumbbell or even a medicine ball in your hands and twist your upper body, attempting to just tap the bottom of the dumbbell or medicine ball to the ground and then rotate and repeat on the opposite side. Now it's time to add a throwing motion into the mix with some power as well. For the half kneeling rotational throw, you want to set up by kneeling next to a wall with one knee on the ground and the leg bent and in front with the heel flat on the ground as well. The forward leg is going to be the one that's closest to the wall. You want to grab your medicine ball, rotate away from the wall using just your core, then rotate towards the wall and toss the medicine ball off the wall. The core is much more than just your abs, but we won't get into a study of anatomy just yet. Let's move on to some posterior core exercises for golf that are a good place to start from a beginner's standpoint. First up, we got the single leg glute bridge. It's a great exercise, can be done at home with no equipment. It strengthens the low back, glutes, and even hamstrings. Start by lying on your back with one leg extended and one planted on the ground. Squeeze the glutes so the hips and low back come off the ground. Shoulders, hips, and legs should be in one nice straight line. Hold for a 1 to 2 second count per rep and then switch sides. Bird dogs really strengthen the spinal erectors, the glutes, the hamstrings, and even the lower back, all of which are major movers in the golf swing, everyone. This can be done not only as a main exercise, but also as a warm-up or part of your cool down. You want to start on the ground on all fours. Next, you want to extend the right arm and left leg out at the same time. Hold for a short isometric hold, then switch arms and legs and hold again. You want to be feeling here as if you are reaching your arms and legs towards the walls in front and behind you. For the Cobra, you're going to set up by lying face down on the floor with the arms to the side and legs straight and together. Squeeze your lower back and your glutes to raise your torso, shoulders, and arms off the floor, keeping your head in a nice neutral position. The chest comes off the ground a few inches, and you want to hold the top of the rep for anywhere from 1-2 second count before you start lowering yourself back down. It's time to add some coordination and balance with the Aquaman. You want to set up by lying face down on the floor, and to begin, you're going to lift one arm and the opposite leg off the ground. For example, if you lift your right arm up, you want to raise your left leg as well. Hold for a 1-2 second count per rep, then reverse sides. The banded good morning is a great exercise to strengthen the muscles in the lower back and hamstrings and glutes. Here you want to start off with a light to medium band thickness. Stand in the band with your feet about shoulder width apart. Bend down and carefully place the band over your head to rest it on your traps. Maintain a neutral spine throughout the movement. You want to hinge at the hips, moving your hips back while your chest drops down to the floor. Only go down as far as possible while maintaining a nice flat spine. Then squeeze the glutes and hamstrings to return back up to the standing position. Let's move on to some deadlifts with the band. You want to fold the band in half, step on the band so that it's underneath the arches of your feet, and your stance should be hip width or even slightly narrower. Bend at the hips and flex at the knees, keeping your back nice and flat, everyone. Grab one end of the band in each hand, then push with the legs so that your hips and shoulders rise together at the same rate. Keep your body weight in your heels the entire time, and the rep is finished when the hips, knees, and shoulders are fully locked out in one nice line. There's nothing better than the conventional deadlift when it comes to posterior core strength for golfers. This is such an awesome exercise because it strengthens the back, the hamstrings, as well as the legs. All of these are vital in the golf swing. It's important to maintain a nice flat back throughout the movement. Start with a hip width stance, and your hands are going to be just outside of your hips with a full grip on the barbell. Set up with your shoulders slightly in front of the bar. Hips and shoulders are going to rise at the same rate. You want to keep those heels down and finish at full lockout of the hips, knees, and shoulders with the shoulders behind the bar. Next up is the sumo deadlift. For some, this may be a bit easier to perform because it recruits more of the hips, legs, and even glutes than the conventional deadlift. Unlike other deadlift variation, your hands are actually going to be inside your feet with your legs set out wide. The width of your stance will really vary, but generally speaking, the width should allow for you to have your shins nice and perpendicular to the floor and your back flat with your shoulders directly over the bar. Take a grip that is just inside shoulder width. You want to really engage your lats and feel as if you're squeezing golf balls underneath your armpits. From here, perform similar to a conventional deadlift. Hips and shoulders will rise at the same rate. You're going to keep your heels down and finish at full lockout with the hips, knees, and shoulders forming one nice line and shoulders behind the bar. Okay, it's time to get into a very advanced movement called the banded deadlift. Before you try this, please make sure you're comfortable performing regular deadlifts and start out light, everyone. You will be using accommodative resistance of a band to provide a different stimulus. This core exercise for golf really develops explosiveness in the hips and glutes for that golf swing. So to set up, you want to drape the band over the bar, make sure that the band is evenly spaced, and from here get into the mixed or overhand grip. Feet are standing on the band about hip width apart. Really activate that core and make sure your back is nice and flat. Perform similar to a conventional deadlift. Really try to explode through the range of motion and squeeze those glutes at the top. The Russian kettlebell swing is a fantastic exercise to work that posterior core and develop some hip explosiveness, which translates very well to the golf swing. It's also great to develop your grip strength. You want to start with the kettlebell in the hang position between your legs. Feet are set about shoulder width or slightly wider apart. Hips will descend down and back but stay above the knees. Your back will be nice and flat. Knees stay in line with the toes, and from here squeeze the glutes quads rapidly while also extending the hips to fire the kettlebell up to eye level. The banded kettlebell swing is just like the Russian kettlebell swing, but you will be adding accommodative resistance of the band to really develop much more hip speed. This is one of my favorite core exercises for golf, people. Make sure you're comfortable performing regular swings before trying these. Unlike a conventional kettlebell swing, these keep tension high as the kettlebell rises. To set up, loop the band around the handle of the kettlebell, then place your feet in the bands to anchor it to the floor. Feet are set slightly wider than shoulder width. From here, perform a regular Russian kettlebell swing, but only swing up to eye level. We highly advise that you do not go overhead with these because you will have a headache that will last for days. The barbell glute hip thrust is a great core exercise to generate a little more power in your swing. You will need a bench, maybe a pad or towel, as well as a barbell and weights. You want your shoulders set against the bench, shins are perpendicular to the floor. Place that barbell in the hip crease. If this is uncomfortable, you can add a pad or towel between the barbell and your hips. So to begin the movement, you want to thrust that barbell up by squeezing the glutes at the top and holding for about a half-second count. Start light here, and as you become more comfortable, add some load as you progress. To wrap things up, we are going to give you a full body exercise, the hang power clean. It's a very dynamic, and not only does it rely a lot on your core, but it also recruits the legs, the backs, and even the arms. It mimics the golf swing in that the power will be generated from the hips, core, and legs before finishing off with the arms. And similar to the golf swing, an early arm pull here will result in a loss of power. Feet will start hip to shoulder width apart. Hands are about 1 thumb's distance from the hips. You want to lower the bar to just above the knee while maintaining a nice flat back. Heels remain down and arms are straight. Torso will then rotate to a vertical position before you fire the legs and hips at the same time. Shoulders shrug to pull that barbell up onto your shoulders. And the movement is complete with the full hip, knees locked out, and the barbell resting up on the shoulders. Start out light here, focus on form before you really start adding some weight and adding some speed. Well, that's it. Those were just a few of the core exercises for golf that I like to program for my clients here at Signum Golf. If you want the full list, click the link in the description to be taken to our blog post. There's even an option to download the entire list for free. We also sell a full workout golf program where we incorporate many of these movements into our programming. If you like this video, please comment and subscribe to my channel or check out some other popular videos. Have a great day, and remember everyone, strength and flexibility in the gym equals distance and confidence out there on the golf course.